Welcome to Working the Woodwork with Gabe Glassman.
And Julio Martinez, the latest and greatest soccer podcast that covers everything and anything, soccer or football, depending on where you're from.
We have a really awesome show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about U.S. men's national team and how the CONCACAF is lining up. We're going to go all the way to the Premier League, talk about how that Liverpool-Arsenal game was, and even give you a little preview of what's up this week. Speaking of Man United and all the Premier League, Ole is gone. We got to rejoice. In the La Liga, Xavi had his first game. How did he do? In the Serie A, we're going to go over that Inter-Napoli showdown and even give you more about what's happening this week there. And obviously, hometown, Tampa Bay Rowdies, they're going to the season finals once again. Let's get it started. But first, before anything, I have a little show and tell. If you follow me on Twitter, I know Julio's already seen this, but if you follow me on Twitter at Gabe Glassman, you would have seen that I entered a little giveaway with my hometown team, Inter Miami. They were giving away a Breck Shea jersey. You know, Breck Shea is a defender who's a hybrid. You know, he's maybe not the best player, according to him, but he's my favorite player because he's the Golden Goose, obviously. And I entered, and I was just sitting in my 11 a.m. Monday class, and all of a sudden I get a DM from Inter Miami saying I won, gave them my address. A few days later, they send me a Breck Shea jersey. I took a picture of it. I have it here in studio to show Julio right here.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time seeing it in person, and wow, that jersey. It is a pristine jersey, to say the least. Here you have the signature.
Authentic Adidas, all authentic.
You got the new Inter Miami sponsor, XBTO, which looks absolutely amazing on it. Because I have this jersey as well, but obviously not as original as this one. Not a signed one. So I'm not going to lie to you, man.
Yeah,
I am kind of jealous.
It was really hard for me not to fully go squealing and screaming in my intro to ethics class.
Oh, yeah.
On a Monday when no one cares about this subject at all. All right, let's move on to our actual show here. Let's go to the U.S. men's national team. Hey, we're on a little bit of a break right now for CONCACAF and World Cup qualifiers. You know, the team doesn't have a game for qualifying until January 27th against, I believe, El Salvador. They have an international friendly coming up December 18th. But let's just talk about how the men's national team has done through this first half through 8 games. I mean, Ricardo Pepi, in 6 games, he has 6 points. He was just named the MLS Young Player of the Year, 18 years old, from FC Dallas. I mean, this guy's a stud.
Oh, man, yeah, what a player. I mean, not even just for FC Dallas, but also when he plays for a national team. Man, he looks unstoppable. He really brings, although you see players such as Pulisic, McKennie, Dest, all these players, they play in Europe. But then looking at someone like Pepe, you know, he's homegrown here in the United States, plays in the MLS, and he shines just as bright as those other stars too.
Yeah, what's really good about having Ricardo Pepi here in the States, like you mentioned those guys like Pulisic and Dest, and what's really bad about like the MLS and maybe the Premier League, they don't have those international weekdays. Like a lot, like I think Pulisic has only played 4 games, only half, and he hasn't even like Roldan and Robinson, those guys that are also in the States, they haven't even had a point. They have a lot more leadership. Robinson, Roldan has leadership, part-time captain at the Seattle Sounders, while Stefan Fry was out there this season. But it's awesome to see Ricardo Pepi, someone who has the talent of those guys at Pulisic. He's able to step up at such a young age. It's really awesome to see.
Oh, I mean, definitely a good sign for the future, especially considering that the 2026 World Cup is going to be here in the United States. And we'd like to hope that the U.S. national team is going to step it up for that World Cup to, you know, defend themselves here in their own home. So, you know, very excited for that World Cup and hopefully for next year's World Cup as well.
I'm excited to see what happens in that 2026 World Cup. I mean, Ricardo Pepi is only going to be 23,
yeah,
24. He's young. We finally have some young talent. Sergino Dest is somewhat young. Pulisic is young. Like, this is a very young and hungry team, especially against Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Speaking about Mexico, man, another 2-0, you know, legendary scoreline. And I believe this is the first time in multiple decades that we beat Mexico. We kept the clean sheet against Mexico for the whole year. Mexico have not managed to beat us this entire year.
I think I saw a stat. It's the first time like any international team has beaten Mexico 3 times within a year since 1937, I believe. Like Mexico's a good team, and right now they sit above Mexico in those CONCACAF standings. which is crazy.
Oh yeah, man, you'd love to see it. As a United States fan, I know I for sure love to see it. And we are ahead of them. To be fair, it is only by 1 point, and we're in second place behind Canada, who has 16. We're on 15. Mexico's on 14. But we take what we can get. We're still ahead of Mexico at the end of the day.
It's a very close matchup in the top of the CONCACAF standings. You want to be in that top 4 more. You want to be in that top 3. But, it's really, if we're recording this 4 years ago, we don't know where we are. But now we can confidently say we have guys that have experience in higher caliber, more talent leagues. And, the MLS gets trashed and made fun of for being a very poor league. But now we're seeing guys like Ricardo Pepi, Miles Robinson, Timothy Weah, who hopefully gets to play in the MLS. Now, I know he's overseas now, but it's awesome to see these young players, these American-born players, go out and shine internationally, and hopefully they make it to Qatar and bring us back some hardware.
Now, although we're talking about Pepe and praising Pepe a lot, one person I do want to bring up is Brandon Aronson. I feel like he is extremely underrated. He played in the MLS not too long ago. This past summer, got a big money move to Salzburg in Austria. And, man, I'm going to say right now, if we make it to the World Cup next year, he's going to be one to watch. Because, obviously, people are going to be looking at all the United States players that play in Europe. And even though he is one of them now, I feel like he's one of the ones that are not as known, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play in 2022 in the Qatar World Cup.
Yeah, you mentioned Brendan Aronson has 3 points, 2 goals, and an assist. He's one of 2 players to play in every single World Cup qualifier game, which is giving me a little sense of depth, where we don't need to use Roldan, Robinson, and Zardes, who are the guys that have really shined, especially in the Gold Cup with Zardes and those young studs that we still have on our bench. But hey, there's games here and there where we can kind of rest them and sit them,
Yeah, that's one part that I really love about this U.S. team is that we're not really too reliant on any 1 or 2 players. I feel like our team just as a whole is really, really good. And I really, really love that because we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, we haven't really had that sense of, concrete structure in multiple years. Since, two World Cups ago, maybe? We haven't had same structure since Clint Dempsey and Landon Donovan were all running around the pitch. But really, we're kind of seeing the USMNT come back up and uproar. Hopefully. I'm really hoping for it. We just got to hold strong. Hopefully this next friendly goes well. I don't know who's going to come from the MLS. Right now, the MLS playoffs are underway. A few games have already happened. My Seattle Sounders are playing tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. But, that's pretty much everything for the USMNT. Let's move on to the Premier League. Pretty shocking. Liverpool. Arsenal. Arsenal, what?
Hey, right off the bat, I know the score is 4-0. I know that, Liverpool, you see that score line, you think, they destroyed Arsenal. And to be fair, they outplayed Arsenal. They really did. But I don't think, with how good Arsenal played, I don't think the scoreline of 4-0 was necessary or deserved. Because Arsenal, I believe they put up a good fight, especially in that first half. I think they played pretty good, and they should have at least got 1 or 2 goals, in my opinion.
They could have gotten one or two more goals, in your opinion, but I don't know. It seemed like a rout. It seemed pretty lopsided. It's pretty lopsided. It's just Liverpool's at home, I believe, yeah, and just really the home crowd. Soccer culture here in America and anywhere else in the world is different. I've never been to a soccer game. I've only been to 6 soccer games, maybe 7 my entire life, and about 5 to 6 of those are Inter Miami games. And to be fair, they have the best fans in the MLS. But to play at such a high level in Liverpool, being such a good team, I think sitting in 3rd place right now in the Premier League. But Arsenal right there, they had a slow start, but now they're back. They're in 6th, I believe.
Yeah, playing at Anfield is never going to be something easy to do. But like you mentioned, Arsenal have been making a comeback. They started off really slow, but then they went on a winning streak. Before that Liverpool game, they hadn't lost since August 28th, which, I mean, it's a pretty good run considering how badly they started the season. Considering they were like, people were calling them relegation contenders at the start of the season. So the fact that they're back up to fifth place, ahead of Man United, ahead of Tottenham, I'd say it's a good sign for at least the second half of the season that's going to start in January.
Talk about relegation contenders. Newcastle currently sits 20th. Leeds is 17th. These are teams that were. I mean, Leeds was a top half team last year. They became they were like 1 point behind Arsenal. Newcastle was up there. I don't know what's happening with the Premier League. Is a very, very, very vague story right now. I don't know what's going on between these guys, but something's got to happen. Man United sits 8th. It's my team overseas. There's too much drama over there. We'll get into that soon. One player I do want to talk about from Liverpool, Mo Salah. Oh my! Through 12 games, 11 goals, 7 assists.
Oh man, Mo Salah, what a player! I mean, the short list was actually just released, I believe today, of like the top 10 contenders for the Ballon d'Oro, and Salah's in that top 10. And I would say he's arguably top 3, if not the like highest contender to win the award this year.
I think he's top 5 for sure. We got to see how the rest of the season plays out. Ronaldo right now is 4 goals, 2 assists. He's there. Messi's doing pretty decently at PSG. But yeah, he definitely deserves to be in that top 5 conversation. I feel like top 10 is a little high for him. Top 5 is where he should be.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if he does win the award, I don't really think anyone can complain, because you look at the other candidates. You have Neymar. Brazil didn't win anything this year. PSG didn't really win anything this year. In fact, they lost the League Cup. So, I mean, looking at Salah, he's a top scorer right now with 11 goals in the Premier League. Top assister with 7 assists, tied with Pogba. But I mean, man, what a player. But I guess in the same vein as Neymar, Liverpool didn't really win anything last year. He didn't win anything with Egypt, unfortunately, because
he saves that team.
He does save that team, but
I mean, keeps them from disbanding as a soccer team.
Yeah, of course. But I would say, because looking at the other candidates for Ballon d'Oro, I would say the only other person who may compete with him is Messi, and that's only because he won the Copa America. And for Argentina and for the whole the soccer universe, that's a pretty big deal, because it's Messi's first international trophy with Argentina. So I think if Messi wins it, same thing with Salah, you can't really complain. But there are other candidates as well who can win it.
Let's move on. Match of the week for the Premier League, I'm saying Chelsea Man United.
Oh man, Chelsea Man United. If we brought up that conversation a couple weeks ago, I would say that Man United definitely, would have stood a chance against Chelsea. But with the way that Chelsea's been going up and United's been going down, I kind of have to give it to Chelsea.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am wearing a Man United shirt right now. And not gonna lie, I love Chelsea so much. They are such a good team. Like, I mean, when you bring together a whole, like we're talking about like Man United having one of the best starting 11s. Chelsea's right up there with them. I mean, Lukaku, Mount, Pulisic, who else? Like, you have so many guys, even guys that like don't have like a international figure or international name like Cristiano Ronaldo. They have those key set pieces that really bring that team in. Like Kovacic, really, he's one of my favorite center midfielders.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that down is that's mostly all down to the manager, Thomas Tuchel, because ever since he came in, he has completely transformed that club. He took them, he won a Champions League with them. Ever since Lampard left, he has them in first place right now by 3 points behind. Well, they're in front of my team, Manchester City, by 3 points, and honestly, it's going to be a tough race for the title because they're looking very, very strong. And they have so much depth. With the amount of money they spent in the summer, they are stacked. They're completely stacked.
Yeah, Chelsea is lucky they don't have manager issues, unlike Manchester United, who finally, we've been talking about this for weeks. I send Julio Twitter DMs every single time manager gets changed or dropped. And every time I'm like, why not Ole? Why?
Yeah,
finally.
It seemed like every manager in the world of soccer was getting fired other than Ole. Man United just
And
no matter how
finally,
much
they jump on the train. Ole is out of Manchester United. Wow.
Now, to start off this conversation, I have to ask you, as a United fan, who would you like to see come in as the next manager of Manchester United?
No clue. I have not even thought about that. I'm still popping champagne bottles over Ole. There was some talk about someone coming in, but fans didn't really like it. I don't know who wants to go. I hope, for me, I think a coach comes in, a recent player that knows this team well. Fernandinho, hopefully, he interacts with the team a lot. But no, it has to be someone that's close to the team. It can't just be someone that you ship internationally. This team needs chemistry. Ole did not bring chemistry to this team. They brought chemistry when they brought Ronaldo in. They brought chemistry because him and Bruno Fernandes play up top together. That's chemistry. Ole did not have any chemistry with this team.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast started, but looking at United's starting 11, I would say they arguably have a top 3 strongest starting 11 in the whole world of football, behind obviously PSG, because their team has to be number 1. And number 2 has to be probably Manchester City, I would say, trying to be unbiased. But yeah, Manchester United, they have a super strong team. And I think today reports are coming out that Pochettino might leave PSG to come to United.
That's the one. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because he has kind of the same situation over in France where he has a stacked team, but they're kind of underperforming. They're not performing as well as they should be. So I'm kind of worried that if he goes to United, he's going to have the same exact problem again.
It's going to be a bigger dumpster fire, I think, if he comes.
Oh yeah, especially in the Premier League where journalists are ruthless. All eyes are on you. If you lose one game, your job is automatically in question.
I mean, Ole's job is, I don't know how Ole's job has not been in question before that Watford 4-1 loss, but because I definitely had my eyes on about, if I was the owner of Manchester United, I see Ole, I give Ole this team, this star-studded team, with the greatest soccer player, arguably the greatest soccer player of all time. You are 5-2-5 right now. What am I doing? What am I spending money on? So if I'm the owner of Manchester United, I'm getting someone close to the team, giving someone that's close to Ronaldo, giving the leader of this depressed Manchester United team, and hopefully they can go on a 20-game run and don't lose, because that's what this team needs. They need a big wake-up call, a big one.
Yeah, I mean, as a City fan, obviously.
Manchester City need to go to 20. You need to pull a Man United. Just like 20 games, kid. How about that? We'll settle for that.
I mean, I don't know about that. I'm still hoping that we push for the title. But as a City fan, obviously Manchester United is probably one of the clubs, if not the biggest club in England, with like the most history, the most fans, most trophies. But at the end of the day, people want to see Man United succeed just because of that. So to see them in as bad as the situation they are in now, with the players that they have, is like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't make sense. They really need someone, like you said, to come in, gel the team together. I really think Antonio Conte, who just signed for Spurs, would have been a great signing for Manchester United.
I said that too. I said Conte is a very good. I think he's a very good manager. I think he's a strong mind. That's exactly what Tottenham needed. That's what Manchester United needed. Sadly, Manchester United didn't pull the trigger in time for Ole. So.
Yep, you guys were just a couple weeks late on that one, unfortunately for you guys.
Yeah, a couple weeks late. I bet you that fan base says a couple months late. Let's move on to the La Liga. We're going to talk about Barcelona here. They're needing a little help. They're in 6th place in the Liga. Memphis Depay, though, currently tied for 3rd in scoring with 7 goals, 2 assists in 13 games. But the big storyline for FC Barcelona, new manager, Xavi, took a win in his first game. His first game as a coach against Espanyol. Depay had a penalty in the 48th minute. It was a 1-0 game, but it was a pretty dominant defensive game. Possession was all over the place for Barcelona. It was 65-35. And Barcelona had triple the amounts of shots on goal. I mean, it was although the scoreline was only 1-0, it's a pretty dominant game for Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also, along with Manchester City, Barcelona is my second team. Those are my two teams. So obviously, I watch this game. Very, very excited that Xavi's our new manager, to say the least. And man, Barcelona looked like a completely different team this weekend, let me tell you. We hit the post twice, very unfortunate. And like you said, it was only 1-0, and our one goal did come from a penalty, but we really, really did deserve more goals than just one. And I feel like Busquets seemed like a completely different player. Jordi Alba seemed rejuvenated down the left-hand side. And I'm very excited as to what's to come for Barcelona.
Seemed like Barcelona was working the woodwork.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. It could have been a 3-0 game. Sadly, the old white bar, the iron, not great. But Barcelona just seemed like they managed the ball better. They had more energy. There was just a different look to this team. It looked like we were looking at previous Barcelona teams and how we know and how we love FC Barcelona to what it can be. Sadly, they still need a little bit of help. They need to get going. Xavi's in as manager now. He's got to keep it going now. It's one game against Espanyol. They're sitting in 11th right now, so keep it rolling. Hey, maybe you can get yourself into that top 3 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that Xavi has mentioned in a lot of his interviews, where he wants to bring back the old Barcelona, the Barcelona that people feared, the Barcelona that would run circles around players, just pass the ball, but with a purpose. Because we never really lost that Barca style of passing the ball, being kind of conservative. However, we would pass the ball, but with no purpose. But now it seems like Xavi wants to bring back that type of style of playing, because Xavi was a part of arguably some of the best Barca teams in history. He won 2 trebles with the team. He was there for all of it. So he knows what it takes to bring back that type of play style to Barca. He knows what the Barca DNA is. And based off of that first game, it looks like he's really trying to bring that back.
It seemed like Barcelona was really conservative with the ball. When I mentioned that 65% possession rate, it's really cool to see how Xavi is already implementing his previous play styles to this current team who needs a little bit of an awakening. But, they're on their way.
Oh, yeah, they're on their way. And the good part about Barca's team is that we're introducing a lot of young players, too. Like, looking at the starting 11, we have, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Ilias Akumach, he's 17. We have Pablo Gavi, who's 17. We have Nico Gonzalez, who's 19 as well. Mingueza, who's 22. We have a very young team, and all these players have very high potentials and very high ceilings. It's just a matter of Xavi's the right person to bring it out of them.
Hey, don't forget about American hero Sergino Dest.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hey, come on. Don't put disrespect to my boy.
And, of course, although he's injured too, our star boy, our golden boy, you have Ansu Fati, you have Pedri as well, who just won the Golden Boy Award today. Congratulations to our boy right there. But, man, I got to say, it might just be too soon. I might, be all in my head just because only the first game and we won. But I'm very excited to what's to come with this new Xavi team.
I'm excited too. I'm really excited. Let's move on to Serie A. Let's go over the Inter-Napoli game. Hey, final scoreline was 3-2. Napoli scores early on, but Inter responds with 3 unanswered goals. Napoli got one in the 79th minute and just couldn't complete the comeback of dreams. But Napoli still remain at the top of the Serie A. Inter, they're inching up there. They're in 3rd place. But one player I do want to talk about from Inter, Checo. 7 goals, 1 assist. And Barea, 1 goal, 5 assists, both in 13 games played. They have been dominant for Inter.
Yeah, I mean, Inter, people at the beginning of the season were kind of doubting Inter because, they lost Antonio Conte, they lost Hakimi, they lost Lukaku too. They were losing some of their best players and the best manager they've had in a long time. So to see them still doing good I believe, is a good sign. They're only 4 points behind Napoli, the league leaders. So I believe they're doing really good. As you mentioned, Dzeko is just doing amazing. They signed him from Roma, and he got off immediately. He scored 2 goals on his debut, and he's been killing it ever since.
Yeah, definitely something that I was hoping the Inter would show is that, they lost one of their best managers in history, but will they keep that same play that we love about Inter? And, I think so. They're right there. I think they can go for the title. We're very early on in the season. and to see a bunch of help from there, it really does show me that they could be a threat to Napoli and to anybody later on. And Atalanta and Juventus, maybe even them can come up. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I'd say give it like 2-3 months. Let's see where we are, and we could have some popcorn cooking up.
The Serie A, in recent years, in the last decade at least, it's pretty much been dominated by Juventus. So to see new teams like Napoli coming up, AC Milan, Inter Milan, I love to see these new teams, actually challenging for the title. Speaking about Juventus, my game for this upcoming weekend that I'd really like to look forward to is Juventus versus Atalanta, because right now Juventus, they're underperforming, I want to say massively, because they went from dominating for so many years to losing the title last year, and now they're sitting in only 8th place with 11 points behind the league leaders.
Yeah, one problem I have with Juventus right now is they're not scoring a lot and they're not passing a lot. They do have Dybala, 3 goals, 3 assists in only 9 games. But even though they're in 8th, 7th, I have them at 7th. The goal difference is only +3, and they only have 18 goals in 13 games. They gotta spread the ball more. They gotta pass. They gotta spread it out. They gotta spread the ball, pass more, use the wingers, use the sides, use the field more efficiently. You gotta get scoring more, man. Juventus, they've dominated this league. But hey, Atalanta in 4th place. Look at them go. Zapata has 8 goals and 3 assists in 11 games played. He's been amazing for them. Atalanta as a team, not a lot of people talk about them, but hey, they're showing up to play.
Atalanta have been a team who they've been consistent in the last couple of years. Not consistent enough to challenge for the title, but they've been consistently top 4, consistently challenging those big teams whenever they play. So they're looking a really good team. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a good fight and even beat Juventus this weekend.
It'll be fun. I'd say Juventus may be pulling it out because they're at. Are they home?
Yes, it will be at Juventus' home.
Yeah, I think Juventus pulls it out, but it's gonna be a fun one.
It definitely will be a fun one. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, let's move on. Hey, let's go a little local here. Tampa Bay Rowdies for USL. They're going to the finals for the 2nd year in a row. Eastern Conference champions. Last year they went to the finals, but it was canceled due to COVID-19. Now it's not canceled. People are vaccinated now, and we're gonna have a final against Orlando County SC, who have won their last 2 games off of penalties. So I don't know how they're going to keep up with, in my opinion, the most dominant team in the USL.
The Tampa Bay Rowdies have just looked amazing this year. People will call them lucky because, they were down 2-0 basically almost a whole game this Saturday. And then Lucky, again, I don't want to mispronounce the name, but Lucky Miko Sana, he scored a goal in the 83rd and in the 96th minute of stoppage time to send the game to overtime. And then Dos Santos came in the 102nd minute and scored the winner for Tampa Bay Rowdies. So his name is Lucky. He gave Rowdies a look to, pull through. But man, yeah, I might be kind of biased coming from the Tampa Bay point of view, but I think they have a good chance because, it's a team with high spirits. They're very confident in themselves with the way that they play. And I'm looking forward to that final.
You know what? Their 3-2 win to get in reminds me of last year, Minnesota United versus Seattle Sounders. Seattle was down 2. I don't know how much time left, but they came on to win it. 90th minute goal to send them to the next round. And it was amazing. 3 goals in like 10 minutes. And it's not luck. It's pure just play with heart. That's what this Tampa Bay Rowdies team plays with. They play with heart. They play with hustle. That's what Seattle plays with too. We see those teams here and there where they don't just play because they know they're good. They play because they know they can win. They never have a never give up mentality. They always will try. And in the playoffs, it means everything to these players. Like soccer players go their whole lives without winning anything, but they will do anything to win.
a team that battled the entire game. It's the 86th minute. You're still down 2-0. It's very easy to lose confidence, lose that fight. But the Rowdies were still able to score those 2 goals in the last 10 minutes and bring it back and eventually win the game. So if they bring in that same hunger, that same fight, that same confidence more than anything in the finals, I believe they could win that game.
Yeah, I mentioned that the Orange County SC, who the Rowdies will face off, their last 2 games were won with penalties. So my fear is that they can't finish the job in regulation or overtime. That's why I'm going with the Rowdies here. I have a final score prediction of 4-2. Rowdies have been the best team in the USL for a very long time, and I think they're gonna be able to finish it off, get a championship home, and really bring back that Tampa Bay, name. That they got to be part of it. Hey, they're part of it too. Just because they're USL doesn't mean they can't be playing with Tampa Bay. Just like USF women's basketball over here, they're part of Tampa Bay. Everyone's part of Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah, of course. Even looking at the USF women's soccer team, they made it to the semifinals and unfortunately lost 2-0. I watched that game firsthand. Tough defeat. But man, Tampa Bay, it's really, it fits as well because all our teams are doing pretty well. All our teams are winning championships. So to go based off what you said, to give my own prediction for the final. As you mentioned, Orange County kind of relying on penalties recently. So if I had to give a prediction, I would give it 3-1. I'll give it 3-1 to the Rowdies.
So we both have 2-goal wins. All right. I think that's full time here. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. We will be back next Thursday doing it all again right here on any streaming platform here on Working the Woodwork. For my partner Julio Martinez, I'm Gabe Glassman, and this was Working the Woodwork.
See you on the next one.